Vshojo going bankrupt. They're gonna ask for bankruptcy, dude. I heard about the pirate software incident. I have not heard it yet, but we'll be talking about it in a second. Yes, the chaos has begun. Man, dude, there's just so much shit that just happened. Like, I swear, my internet goes out for one day and like... Okay, you get stuff from left and right and everything. I'm just like, oh my lord, what is happening? Yeah, lord, internet dies out, you know, the Vshojo ninjas come around and try to take out my internet, you know? It's crazy, you know? They're already going to drown in legal fees over this, so they want to discharge anything they can before things go to trial. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's take a look, shall we?
The bankruptcy of Vshojo is inevitable. At this point, all signs are pointing to insolvency. So today we're
you guys want to know something too as well? He commented in one of my videos. That was crazy. That was crazy that he commented in one of my videos. I was not expecting Legal Mindset to comment in one of my videos. It was like a while back or so. I was like, what? Yeah, he did. You were there, King. You were there. I said it.
to go over the bankruptcy process and exactly what it's going to look like and how it's going to
crazy,
affect
though.
Vshojo. Of course, is the Legal Minds where we teach you to be your own
Yes,
judge.
you were there.
American attorney, and this is a fast facts, quick and dirty version of the legal education and news that gets best to you as quickly as possible. So smash a like and leave a comment if you like the fast facts versions. Now, getting into this, we've been covering the breakup of Vshojo as has happened and been covered by many
crazy,
channels.
To be honest.
But one thing that I've said quickly, and I think I was probably the first person to point this out, is that bankruptcy is the way that this is going to wind up. As we're seeing things play out, as people are speaking out, it's very, very clear looking at the roster, looking at the fact that there's literally no talent left. This is a list as of today.
Oh, really? Damn, dude. Sheesh. Damn. Really, it was 2 years ago for the Superman and Neanners thing, huh? Was I even around during 2 years ago? I don't even know, to be honest.
All of the red people are confirmed to have left. So Zentrada.
I don't think so. Actually, I'm not too sure. I don't even know anymore, so.
Iron Mouse, Project Melody, Hime, Kason, Haruka, Henya, Giga, Kuro, Matara, Michi, everybody here. Hestia, Yutori, Okamoto, Amelie. Everybody is essentially out. Then we've got people that left earlier, like Vebe, Silverbill, and Aminia. And then Fruit is the only one that's left that even is, you know, not made an official announcement, but she's removed Vshojo from her profile. So she's expected to leave.
Yeah.
So at this point, they have absolutely no profit generation. There is no way that there's any income coming in.
That's crazy.
And at that
Seeing
point,
that entire list
any
itself?
company, you are insolvent. If you were already having problems when all of your creators were at their maximum revenue generation and you still were not profitable, there's no way to be profitable with no revenue coming in. It's a simple 1 + 1, and there really is no other way around that. Now,
them bitches are broke. You know what it reminds me of? You know what I want to do or so? I want to learn the laugh or so from that one Asian guy who was like laughing or so, who was breaking his chopsticks or so when he has like a bunch of food in front of him. He's like, that's what I want to learn, to laugh like that.
we're also seeing the scope of this debt. And even as of a while ago, this is not even totally current, but this is very recent here in 2025. You're seeing that they are about 2 million deep in loans and in what they owe to talent. $2 million.
God Lord. Yo, what happened to that 500,000 that you guys took away from the charity? What happened to that? Where'd it go? What the hell? What happened to that shit? I thought you had the I thought the fucking you had that shit there. I thought it was gonna be 1.5. God Lord, no, it's 2 million. 2 million.
There's no digging out of that. There's no going in
They
and
are so
asking for another loan to bail them out when they've got no one working for them. This is leading to insolvency. And what happens in insolvency? Well, naturally, it would be a bankruptcy. That is the natural thing for a company to do, particularly when they are buried by claims, when they're going to be
So what I
buried
gotta
by
say about
lawsuits,
this?
when they're going to be buried by obligations and unpaid wages. You're going to have to turn to bankruptcy. So what does the bankruptcy process actually look like? Many people are
Man,
not
that shit
familiar
tastes
with
so
it, or
good. I ain't gonna
only know
lie,
it in a
to be
personal
honest.
context. We're going to talk about it in a corporate context today. So what that actually looks like is either reorganization or liquidation. Now we're talking about personal bankruptcy. There's different chapters for, or sorry, excuse me. We're not talking about personal bankruptcy. We're talking about corporate bankruptcy. For personal bankruptcy, you might be familiar with that. There's also municipal bankruptcy, and there's other sorts of bankruptcies that are in the bankruptcy code. But in this specifically, there's two that would apply, either Chapter 7 or Chapter 11. And I'm going to explain the difference. The difference is really between reorganization or liquidation. Chapter 11 is reorganization. This is for companies that have a chance. So you're saying there's a chance of recovery and profitability. So if that company can get back to making money, then it can be reorganized. And you can say, hey, look, let's restructure this. Let's, change the terms of some debt. Let's, maybe trim some fat off the company, and let's get this thing going. However,
I don't know about that Chapter 11, to be honest. That sounds too good to be true, to be honest. I don't think Vshojo would like that. I don't know. I don't know about that one, to be honest. I don't know, Chief. I don't know about that Chapter 11 one.
Chapter 7 is for those that realistically cannot reorganize or return to profitability. Chapter 7 is way faster, cheaper, and handled in months versus years for Chapter 11. And in Chapter 7, a trustee takes over versus Chapter 11 with existing management. So looking at all these factors, it's very clear it's going to be Chapter 7. They're also a mainly service-oriented company. They don't have heavy in products or assets. And if you think about it, the only real assets, the big assets that a VTuber company would normally have are the models. And like it or not, I mean, at the end of the day, they are an asset. They could be sold to somebody to be skinwalked by some other person, right? And of course, the VTuber community would absolutely not accept that.
They'd probably obliterate the shit out of them if they tried doing that, to be honest. And even then, they keep their IPs, so they literally have nothing to their name. So it's like, because they give their IPs to them. They own their IPs, so they take their IPs with them. So Vshojo literally has nothing.
That's deplorable. In the general culture of the VTubing community, but technically, from a legal standpoint, it is an asset. Intellectual property right is an asset. So they could sell those assets, except for they don't own those assets.
Exactly.
Because the creators own their own IP, there really isn't much to sell. They probably don't own more than a couple of staplers and some desks. I mean, that's probably all they really have is some office stuff to liquidate, and that's probably about it. They probably got a lot of liabilities, but nothing to really offset that in significant assets. They weren't investing in real estate. They didn't have any heavy machinery. There's nothing that they could actually, turn over and sell, like a fleet of trucks or cars. So what we're seeing here is going to be Chapter 7. It's going to be a liquidation. There's no way they're going to want to put the existing management, which has been a failure for the past years, and we're talking years, they've been failing in profitability. They're not going to say, hey, you guys can totally turn this around. We're going to give you a chance. There's no chance of that. I think the judge is going to look at it as this and say, nope, it's definitely going to be Chapter 7. You guys are clearly down that lane. So let's go down the lane of Chapter 7. What's the process for that? So Vshojo's got to submit a petition for bankruptcy. Now, we haven't seen this yet. As soon as this gets filed, I'm sure we're going to report in it. I'll report in it. I'll let you guys know.
That'd be crazy if they do that. I want to see that. I want to see that firsthand.
But we're going to see a submission of a petition for bankruptcy. When they submit that, they're going to also have to list all their assets, liabilities, their income, expenditures, contracts, leases. And this is going to be very interesting because that's when we're going to get the truth. How deep in financial hot water was Vshojo? That is going to be a spicy meatball that I think all the people in the VTuber community, drama tubers and otherwise, everybody, right,
buddy,
is going to sink into and really analyze.
Yo, show me the numbers, man. I want to see the numbers for this up? Yes, fucking do it, Vshojo. You know you want to. Do it, do it, do it.
That's going to be a absolute bombshell to see exactly how bad they were performing over the past. And
you know what would be crazy too? Like 20 years or 30 years down the line, someone decides to buy the brand of Vshojo and call it the rebirth of Vshojo. Vshojo's rebirth or something like that, dude. Oh, dude, that'd be crazy to see that coming around or so, like 20 to 30 years down the line.
I think that's also instructive for future corporations to not have such ridiculous predictions for profitability. Now, what would happen is after they do that list, they submit all the petitions.
Hey. I never said never. It'll happen. It'll happen. It will happen.
They're going to get it turned over to a bankruptcy trustee. So the bankruptcy trustee
that'd be fucking hilarious, though.
They're going to take all the assets, and their job is to liquidate those assets and distribute them.
Never say never, chat.
So
never say never, okay?
And distributing it. But there's an order at the top of the list.
Hey, Vshojo. I know you guys are in debt, but I have $1. Actually, I have $1 and a Pokemon card here. I'll buy your guys' name with $1 and a Pokemon card right here. Here, I'll tap my. You hear that? That's my Pokemon card. I'll give this to you. It's a little bit bent up, you know, but like it's still profitable. You can probably get a couple cents out of this. You can probably buy a bubble gum out of this, you know. And I'll give you the $1 too. Trust me, it's not ripped up or anything like that. I'll buy your brand name. I'll just buy it from you guys. Trust me. At least it'll help you from your debt, you know.
Are secured creditors. So anybody who has a secured loan or a mortgage, etc. And then there's unsecured, and that's everybody else, including people like talents.
Hey, man, I gotta find some way to succeed around here in this VTuber community, you know. Oh, it's not even a Charizard Pokemon card. It's a what is it? Magarna. Yeah, whatever that is.
I did mention there is an exemption which might give them as prospective independent contractors priority.
Oh, Vshojo, I'll throw in like half a bag of ice cube bubble gums, and you can also sell that too as well, you know. It'll probably save you because I know for a fact you guys are gonna be eating, you know, dry noodles for the next 25 years, so
status over other claims.
I'll give you half a bag of bubble gum, all right? Take it or leave it, okay?
Some money. Maybe. However, it ain't going to be much. Yep. And it certainly won't be enough to satisfy all the obligations, particularly the massive charity obligation. So that's going to be something that's looming out there, and that's going to be something that the trustee is going to have to deal with. Now, another big question that people have asked is about NDAs. And I want to clarify this because I have said on certain media, etc., that yes, the NDAs are going to be, at some point, they're going to be able to speak up, they're going to be able to talk. But there's some legal distinction here. And I want to be very clear because this is something that is kind of a legal, not a gray area, but it's the difference between the law technically and the practical reality. So in the law, technically a bankruptcy only discharges financial obligations, and an NDA is a non-financial obligation. So it's an obligation of confidentiality. So technically, an NDA is not gotten rid of by bankruptcy. Bankruptcy does not void NDAs in and of itself. However, it's practically either difficult or almost impossible to enforce NDAs afterwards. Certainly impractical.
Imagine that.
You cannot actually, in reality and practice, go and enforce these things. Why? Well, first of all, the legal priority is given to satisfying the creditors, to satisfying the outstanding debts. It's not given to, hey, we're going to allow you all this funding, we're going to allow you to use all this money to go chase people down and enforce NDAs. That's not given a top priority on the list of things, particularly by the bankruptcy trustee. Further is just the lack of funds. They're not going to possess enough funds to enforce all these NDAs and go out and sue everybody and their mother. And everybody and their mother is actually not a just tongue-in-cheek statement. They literally made Silvervale's mother sign an NDA. We're going to talk
What?
about that on my next live.
Huh?
But
What? Excuse me? I did not know about that. Whoa. Wow. Wow. The more I keep hearing about this company, the more shittier it is. Holy shit, dude. Granted, you know, I never defended Vshojo or anything like that. You know, I just kind of defended the talents a lot more than the company itself, you know? But like, oh my God.
those NDAs, they're not going to have the funds. It costs money. It's not free to go enforce those NDAs.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the last thing is, this is something the court can take into effect, is that it's an unfair benefit to the company, particularly given the company's track record, particularly given that the company was using the
VTuber studios? You mean VTuber companies?
NDAs to silence people from speaking about legitimate workplace grievances. And I've already talked about the fact that certain law, like California law and other laws, may actually allow them to speak up on those NDAs, particularly as it relates to workplace grievances. That's completely separate from the bankruptcy process. So there may be ways for them, and there likely are ways for them to speak up about those NDAs despite the bankruptcy process, etc. But beyond that, it would be wholly unjust to allow Vshojo, which essentially kept them from making money for some of them up to a year, even more than a year. There's records of them not paying people back now and accounts of them not paying back in 2023, way back in the day. So they're not going to say, hey, look, we're going to...
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah. Oh my God. If it's from 2023?
allow you to keep, to silence these people in the fact that you screwed them out of money, you shafted them for multiple years, and massive amount. And we saw 2 million was that amount projected there. Let's say that half of that is loans and half of that is talent. Say it's 1 million in loans and 1 million in talent. That's just me spitballing and guessing. Yeah, that doesn't look good. That does not look good with that amount of outstanding debt. So I do think there's going to be a point at which practically they'll be able to speak out, they'll be able to talk up, and I will caution all of the talents to consult with their individual lawyers when their individual lawyer that is representing them, not me, but their lawyer representing them, tells them they can speak up. Do it, right? Do it. When their lawyer tells them do it. And I think that day will come sooner than later. So everyone, please be patient. Let the process play out. Let the legal process happen.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is to support your creators. And it's so lovely that we had Iron Mouse breaking records. She's going to get to probably 1 million on her IDF fundraiser.
She got 1.1 at this very moment. $1.1 million right now at this very moment.
Tilify, absolutely great. That thing shot up overnight, and we're seeing some silver lining to a very bad situation. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next.
Damn, dude, that is the oh man, dude. We're gonna still be talking about Vshojo even once everything has been settled and everything like that. We're definitely gonna be talking about it. We're gonna be talking about it. Look at that. That's crazy, to be honest. That is the most craziest thing. There it is. 1.1 million. That is an absurd amount. That's great. That's fantastic, to be honest. That's just beautiful to see that. It's beautiful to see the whole entire VTuber community to just rally up behind this actual problem itself, the whole cause of what's happening here, the falling out of Vshojo, how they basically manipulated poor Iron Mouse at the end of the day, They basically held her as a caged bird, That's what they did. They put her in a cage and basically kept her there and tap dancing all the way, to keep them quote unquote afloat and famous, how Vshojo is, We ain't gonna be done talking about it, to be honest. We gotta review everything at the end of the day. Plus also, once everything has been settled legally and everything like that, right? Miss Iron Mouse is gonna disclose everything. So when that happens, oh boy, make sure you pull out your popcorns, because it's gonna be interesting to see. But yeah, not gonna lie, what she did was honestly the great comeback. Yep. Here's hoping Iron Mouse for other people who like her get a better life from the donos. Yeah, I can't really do much, but all I can really do is just kind of post a link of her Telefy down in the down in the description below. I can't donate because I don't have any good financial stability, unfortunately. So, you know, well, you know, I'm not gonna talk about it because this is all Iron Mouse at the end of the day. I ain't gonna talk about it in this video, but yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff. But yeah, like I said, if you haven't donated or so, like I said, it's down in the description down below. Go donate, you know, give some support and everything like that. Now your memes are just as good donuts. I don't have any memes, okay? I ain't got no goddamn memes. I got a half a bag of bubble gum. I got a goddamn Pokemon card and $1 or so for the Vshojo IP, okay? All right, that's what I'm offering to Vshojo, all right? It'll help them with their $2 million debt, okay? All right, they can probably sell it for like 50 cents or something, you know? Anyways, hey man, if the Mexicans can sell bubblegum, okay? If they can sell bubblegum, all right, for 50 cents over there in Mexico, you know for a fact they can do it too as well, okay? No excuses, all right? Anyways, that's the end of the video. And peace.